Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Crypto Insider channel. I am the Crypto Insider, back with another cryptocurrency video for you, recording from the wild and wonderful city of Austin, Texas, where it's cold and rainy today, but we will persevere and win the day. Let's talk about a few things that are going around the crypto community right now. We're going to talk about Chainlink a little bit because it's been one of the best performers over the past couple weeks. We're going to talk about some developments in India. We're going to talk about some Brad Garlinghouse stuff with what he said about Bitcoin proof of work consensus being a wasteful energy consumption. And I think that's going to get a lot more press as time goes on, not necessarily Garlinghouse's statement, but just the whole concept in general. Before we do that, let's talk about subscribers. On the screen before you should see that we made a donation for 4 XRP for the new subscribers. I think we had 8 since yesterday, so 8's enough. Hey, to set off the heart, there it is, and we send it to @GoodXRP. They will break it down and send it off to those Twitter handles that you see on the screen before you. Before we get into real news, I should also say that normal disclaimers. I'm not a financial planner, certified analyst, broker, tax accountant, none of that stuff. I am just a guy on the internet. And you should take my opinion as being just a guy on the internet before you make any investment decisions, and talk to people that are familiar with your situation and portfolio before you make decisions. There was some stuff about Bank of America, and somebody sent me a message asking me to talk about Bank of America and the Alex Cobb videos that are coming out. And really, there's no great news here. Bank of America very forthcomingly announced that they were looking into Ripple Solutions back in October of last year. They actually hired somebody specifically to do that. Bank of America is a huge beast, and it would be a huge win for RippleNet, but I really don't want to comment until they make a statement saying that, yes, we are now a Ripple customer and we are using these products. I don't know if they'll be using XRP or ODL or what product they're going to be using. So I'd rather not really get into it until they come out and let us know, and we can then talk about facts rather than speculation. All right, so let's go into live cryptocurrency prices via Live Coin Watch. We have not a lot of trading since yesterday. I mean, in any direction, we're up 0.25% since yesterday, down 0.16% on the hour when it comes to XRP. Bitcoin price sitting at 87.40, and the dominance still not much change. They're up 0.1% from yesterday. So still everything's kind of floating around the same as it was yesterday, with the exception of Chainlink and Tezos being the standout performers, at least in the top 20 market cap overnight. We have Tezos sitting at 285. And Link sitting at 472. If you bought Link even a week ago, you're probably making money on it. It's just been consistent, in my opinion, as a good crypto performer over the past few weeks. That may change, but there are always new stories coming out about Link. I could probably dedicate a whole channel just to Link. And make my entire videos just for Link, but I'm definitely not going to do that, and I'm not the person to do that. I honestly don't know enough about it. I have a small position in it, but we'll be watching it as we watch all the cryptos. I also noticed that HBAR popped up another few spots in the market cap list. Look at them sitting pretty at 41. I think they were 44 or lower last week. So the Google announcement has definitely helped HBAR price. They did take a dive along with everyone else when Bitcoin took a dive, but they're creepers. HBAR is that creepy old man who keeps winking at you from the corner. Right now they're every once in a while they gain a little ground, and we'll see where it ends up. I expect there'll be good things coming for Hedera Hashgraph. They just have the backing of so many good solid companies. I'm gonna have some coffee. We can look at Ripple technical analysis. Everything was red when I last looked at the screen, but it doesn't matter. It can change very quickly, these moving averages and the oscillators down at the bottom. At least it looks like we went from oversold to neutral, which is good. We would ideally like to get from neutral to the green overbought area. This is the first green I'm seeing in the past 5 minutes right here. Looks like we're sitting at 23,174. Not amazing, but not amazing either way. It's not extremely up or extremely down from yesterday. There's actually not a lot to talk about, but we were talking about Chainlink, so let's just go check them out too. They're actually down on the hour 3%, but still up 8%. 34.39% on the week, 66% on the 30 days. So, 30 days ago you could have bought Link for 2.6751, the lowest, and you could have just about doubled your money almost. So, everybody, I'm sure, is very happy with that performance, and I think we're going to see that. Looks like there's a lot of consolidation in the market right now, and a lot of the fears of the any pandemics or whatever seem to be fading a little bit. I'm hoping that maybe in the next couple of days or the weekend we start to see some positive price action. In any case, we have the Bitcoin halving coming up in May. It's going to usually you do get a price bump after the Bitcoin halving, and there's a lot of argument in the Bitcoin community. Is it already priced in, or is Bitcoin going to soar afterwards? I don't think we're really going to know much. The day of the halving isn't probably going to spike Bitcoin much more than whatever it's sitting at that point. But I think in the month or two following the Bitcoin halving is when you're really going to see the action priced in as to whatever's going to happen. So to me, June and July are more interesting than the lead up to the halving. I'd rather see what happens after it than speculate about what's going to happen before it. There are a lot of different thoughts on it, a lot of different analysts and opinions, and they're all probably smart people with different opinions, and that just goes to show you that they know as much as anybody else. Which is another reason to shy away from the more conspiracy-oriented folks, in my opinion. Let's get into some of the articles. This one's from Bitcoinist. This is the Garlinghouse article I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Ripple chief critical of Bitcoin, Ethereum wasteful energy consumption. Bitcoin using more energy than ever, and that's going to continue. I mean, unless there's some upgrade in mining tech. I mean, we know they're building that mining facility in Texas, with the wind farm. I covered that the other day. But now they've got to do the same amount of work in May for half of the reward. So, even though that's good from a price perspective of supply and demand, it's very economically wasteful when it comes to energy usage. Look at them blasting Ripple. As if there wasn't enough tribalism within the crypto community already. Ripple CEO has blatantly bashed Bitcoin and Ethereum for their energy consumption and carbon footprint. Well, why not? Brad Garlinghouse, I mean, they're making this sound as if it's a negative from Brad Garlinghouse, but Garlinghouse didn't invent proof of work. He's not the one using 1% of the world's power consumption for XRP. I mean, you can make it seem like he's being nasty, but he's really just stating facts. Bitcoin using more energy than ever. A recent article in the UK's Telegraph has claimed that one Bitcoin transaction uses more energy than an average British household does in 2 months. Citing figures from Digiconomist, the report added that energy consumption has reached record annual levels of 77.7 terawatt hours, which is equivalent of the entire demands of Chile. The stats added that the carbon footprint was equivalent to that of New Zealand. Additionally, it was comparable to the e-waste generation of Luxembourg and the power consumption of an average U.S. household over 22.13 days. And I have solar panels, so this is actually a bigger number for me. If they would measure it against my house, it would probably be like 40 days, almost the UK average. Alex DeVries, blockchain expert at accounting firm PwC and founder of Digiconomist, also claims that massive amounts of e-waste will eventually be generated by outdated mining equipment. And that's really why I wanted to cover this article, because we look at the mining cost in terms of electricity usage, but remember, all this fossil fuel usage and all this other real mining into rock is required to generate all these components that you need to do the electronic mining. And what happens after those hardware pieces are outdated is they just get thrown in a big pile. He added that 98% of mining hardware will be obsolete within 1 year, 1.5 years after their initial use. And then he compares it to Apple. Granted, there may be a growing pile of dead mining rigs, but that will pale into insignificance when compared to the likes of what Apple produces with its built-in obsolescence and non-replaceable batteries, creating mountains of dead things. Yeah, so it's really going to be, the economic or ecological toll of Bitcoin mining is a lot more than just using 1% of the world's power consumption. And I think that, as Brad Garlinghouse says these comments, and he's not the only one. His actual comment was, energy consumption for Bitcoin and Ethereum mining is a massive waste, and there's no incentive to take responsibility for the carbon footprint. Absolutely that this isn't high on, absolutely crazy, maybe? I don't know what emojis mean. I can't speak emoji. Absolutely that this isn't high on the agenda for the growing climate crisis. And you can argue back and forth about whether you believe there's a climate crisis. That doesn't matter. The point is, if you're going to make hardware and we're going to develop new financial systems for the future, you want them to be as efficient as possible in all regards, not just how their consensus mechanism works. You want them from start to finish, and there's no good reason to waste 1% of the world's power consumption on mining for Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, granted, that's my opinion. This is an opinion channel. I mean, maybe you have a different opinion, that's fine. But it just doesn't seem like a good use of resources. This is another important story that a lot of people thought were going to affect the market larger than it did over this last night. But there's an idea in the crypto community, especially the XRP community, that XRP is wound up like a coil. And as this consolidation happens, it just tightens and tightens and tightens. And one day, it's going to bust, like a slingshot or a boil, and everything's just going to come shooting out. And there's going to be these huge price gains. I don't know that I subscribe to that exactly, but people did think there was going to be a boost from this India announcement, and it doesn't look like it's happened yet, but I think this is going to be priced in over the next few days. All the good news we're seeing, if it's depressed by something like a pandemic or other news, that whatever's depressing the price is eventually going to fade. Whatever, if it's a pandemic, a disease, or short-term news, that eventually is going to fade, and then the market has to price itself according to fundamentals. I mean, not that it won't have swings when stuff like that happens, but I think that we could be in for some very nice green days, in other words, is what I'm saying in the next few weeks. I'm saying it, I'm not saying it in the best way. I should have written how I wanted to say that. But I think once some of these price depressing features start to fade, that we're really going to have some nice positive days again. I don't have any reason to fear price action, temporary price action, especially with something like XRP, because you just never know. But anyway, this story: top cryptocurrencies in India gained 10 to 50% after the SC verdict quashing RBI ban. So WazirX tokens, which I don't know what those are, have nearly doubled in value after the Supreme Court announced that it is now legal for Indian banks to deal in cryptocurrencies. Other currencies like Chainlink and Substratum cooled off after the initial burst, but WazirX token and Matic network continue to hold strong. International currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum have not reacted to the news, but investors believe they will likely surge once the U.S. markets open. And I don't think that's happened yet, but I believe it's going to be part of the news that goes into the pool. And as the Indian market now likely will pick up, so will the rest of the market. And India, incidentally, is the #1 country for remittances. If you're into cross-border payments, as Ripple is, this is surprisingly good news, because India, you may think it's China or Mexico, but you would be wrong. The #1 receiver of remittances is India. And that's a huge market. So now that banks can deal in cryptocurrencies, perhaps it'll be easier to get some exchanges going or something like that Ripple can use for an ODL corridor. And there's just a little bit of price analysis here from John Asige. We covered him before. I don't know. If I'm saying your name wrong, I'm sure he's not listening to the channel, but if anyone knows John Asige or Asige and I'm saying it wrong, please let me know. Chainlink price soars 10% amid stability in the Bitcoin market. Chainlink prices rise above the consolidation in the cryptocurrency market to close in on all-time highs at 490. Chainlink is strong against Bitcoin as the MACD holds firmly within the positive territory. So over 10% growth in the last 24 hours places it among the most bullish and best performing cryptocurrencies, even as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies struggle to sustain gains. So what did they say? The all-time high is around 490. What do we say we were at now for Chainlink? Let's look at it. 4.73. So I don't, we're not at the all-time high. It looks like it might be closer to $5. But this has dropped, and it looks like we're now going neutral. Maybe we'll go positive again. I don't know. Our position here in Chainlink is small compared to our Tezos position and our XRP position. But we do have some, and we're interested in having it grow as much as we are anything else. So that's kind of why I'm covering it. And that's pretty much it. There's our music. If you like the channel, like the video, like and subscribe. We will send a small donation on your behalf to @GoodXRP. And thanks. We'll see you tomorrow.